My father left my stepmother the house, and left me a single key with no explanation, no note, no context, just a small brass key taped inside an envelope with my name on it. My stepmother laughed when she saw it, called it typical of him to leave me something worthless while she got everything real. I didn't argue, I just needed to figure out what that key actually opened. It took me 3 weeks of searching before I found it, a small self-storage facility across town my father had rented quietly for 11 years, paid in cash every single month, hidden from every financial record my stepmother had access to. My hands shook, inserting that key into the lock, the metal door groaning open onto a unit filled floor to ceiling with boxes labeled in his familiar handwriting. The first box contained photographs I'd never seen, my father significantly younger, standing beside a woman who definitely wasn't my stepmother, holding a baby that definitely wasn't me. I sat on that concrete floor, holding evidence of an entire hidden chapter of his life, wondering how many secrets one quiet, unremarkable man could possibly carry without anyone in his own family noticing. Deeper in the unit, I found legal documents establishing a trust fund, untouched for over a decade, worth significantly more than the house my stepmother had already begun selling. The beneficiary listed wasn't me, and it wasn't her either. It was a name I'd never heard before, Sarah Mitchell, alongside a birth certificate confirming she was born exactly 9 months after that photograph was taken. I hired a private investigator immediately, terrified and electrified in equal measure. 2 weeks later he found her, 34 years old, living quietly 2 states away, completely unaware her biological father had died, let alone that he'd secretly maintained a trust fund for her entire adult life without ever once making contact or explaining why he'd stayed away. I called Sarah myself, my voice shaking through an explanation that sounded absurd even as I said it aloud. A storage unit, a hidden trust, a father neither of us fully understood. She was silent for a long moment before asking quietly, did he ever say why he left? I didn't have an answer. The storage unit held money and secrets in abundance, but no explanations, no apologies, nothing resembling closure. We found that answer 3 boxes later, a stack of unsent letters spanning over a decade, addressed to Sarah but never mailed. In them, my father confessed leaving her mother wasn't his choice, it was hers, after discovering he already had another family, meaning me, that he'd never disclosed during their relationship. He'd been the secret in someone else's story long before I ever knew Sarah existed. My father hadn't abandoned Sarah out of cruelty. He'd been asked to leave, carrying guilt he apparently never resolved, silently funding her future for 34 years while remaining too ashamed, or too cowardly, to ever explain himself directly. The unsent letters revealed a man torn between 2 families, choosing neither fully, protecting both from a truth that might have actually helped them heal. My stepmother, when confronted, admitted she'd known vaguely about some woman from before, but never imagined an entire hidden daughter, an active trust fund, or a storage unit maintained secretly for over a decade under her own nose. Her anger wasn't really about money anymore. It was about discovering the man she'd married had successfully hidden an entire second life from her for years. Sarah and I met in person a month later, awkward and cautious, 2 strangers connected by a father who'd apparently loved us both from a careful, guilty distance neither of us had known to expect. She showed me photos of her own childhood. I showed her mine. Somewhere between his 2 carefully separated worlds, we started slowly building the relationship he'd never found the courage to allow himself. Sarah and I split the trust fund evenly. No lawyers, no arguments, just 2 sisters finally choosing honesty over the secrecy that had defined our entire relationship with our father. My stepmother still isn't speaking to either of us. I think about that single brass key often, how something so small ended up unlocking more truth than an entire lifetime of silence ever did. Was my father a coward for hiding Sarah, or brave for quietly taking care of her anyway? I genuinely can't decide. What would you have done in his position? Comment below, and subscribe for more true family secret stories.